What's going on, guys? Real quick, so I was working here today, working in the haberdashery, making some stuff, and one of our suppliers reached out. This is a supplier. You guys might have seen Jay Such Dave on the channel talking about his family are fabric merchants. They do like very high volume, high end to low end, the whole range. This supplier does very limited runs of very unique patterns, specializing from Japan and Korea. So they let us know, hey, we've got a new shipment, ton of new fabric in, come check out what we have. It's kind of a good timing because the neighbor's construction next door is getting really loud today, and it's nice out. It's not crazy hot in Bangkok, so it's good to go around. So we're gonna go on a trip to see the supplier, see what they have, anything interesting for the haberdashery. Since we do a lot of one-off or very limited run pieces, it's a great fit. So we're gonna take you guys with us into that part of town, into Chinatown where the supplier is. Guys, don't forget, give this video a like, share it, and subscribe. That always helps. Appreciate. Comment down below and let me know if you guys actually shop at haberdasheries like our haberdashery that does limited run stuff. And if you guys want to see more haberdashery footage or more of the things that we do with the haberdashery, how we grow it, let me know in the comments. All right, guys, let's get out of here before lunchtime. Head out to Chinatown and check out these fabrics. So here we go, guys. You see Jib and I, we've got our masks on because the PM 2.5 air quality is really bad, but we're lucky we can take one of these songtels up to the BTS and take the SkyTrain over to the MRT at Asok. Jib and I both love public transportation. This is really our favorite way to get around. But if we're gonna switch at Asok to the MRT, to the subway, of course, we're gonna have lunch at the best pizza place on the planet, our favorite spot, Hala Pizza. We both love it here, especially me because I can get this vegan pizza with the vegan cheese. It's amazing. And then it is just a quick ride over to Samya on the MRT at one of these new stations and puts us right in sort of the center of the fabric district. This is a beautiful section of Bangkok. Still gotta have the mask on though. But one of the other nice things that's over here is a mall in Samya called China World, which is 4 floors of actual fabric merchants. The place is huge. You can actually get lost in here. It's amazing, and there's a ton of stuff. You can see it here. This is just the front entrance, and there's 4 floors of nothing but fabric. It's amazing. The downside to this place is that you're really going to find sort of low-end to mid-range fabrics. There's nothing really exceptional, but there's a lot of different styles. So if you're looking for something just to work with or work on, this is a spot you want to check out. As you can see, that the color ranges here are pretty amazing. Jib actually found some sort of satin, or I guess like some silk, some see-through sort of mesh that she wanted to use for her embroidery work. So we picked up quite a bit of that. And you can find anything from cottons to synthetic silks to wools here. This is the type of spot I like to come and just sort of look at all the patterns, look at the colors, look at the combinations, and get some inspiration. And I don't really come here that often because the stuff doesn't turn over that quick. You can see here Jib was showing me some of the military fabric. I was actually looking for something to make a bag for a friend, one of my tote bags, but he really likes that fatigue. However, this was a bit too soft. It almost felt like a knit instead of a weave. This section here, this is like one of those kind of blowout clearance sections. You can see the signs. It's like 3 yards for 100 baht, so it's like less than $1 per yard, and there's just bolts upon bolts upon bolts of fabric here. I'm sure if you really spent the time to dig through, you might actually find some good deals. A lot of cottons here, a lot of really bright colors. We finally found some stuff that I was interested in. There was some lighter weight denim here, and then this is some denim with embroidered apples on it. Probably not something I would use, but I thought it was interesting. It was an okay denim, a little bit on the heavy side. And then you see here there's some selvage. I checked this out. Whenever I see selvage, I'll always be interested. This just wasn't very high quality selvage denim. Tons and tons of more fabric here. I think we're only on the 2nd floor at this point. And this is that sort of mesh that I was talking about that Jib wanted to use for her embroidery work. Going up 1 more floor, yet again, still a lot more fabric to go through. I believe I found some paisley up on this floor that I was interested in. And the funny thing is that at this point, we're 3 floors in, we're almost getting a bit fatigued, and we're not even at the shop that we intended to go to yet. And check out like all these bright colors. If you're really looking for something bombastic, you would find it here for sure on this floor. just a ton of options. And here you start to see they get into more of that bridal type of look. So finally we sort of wrapped up, and it's maybe about a 10-minute walk to get from where we were over to J. We have to cross this big intersection. One of the great things about Bangkok though is there's always bridges like this. And I cannot stop through Chinatown without buying some of these chestnuts. They roast them in these coffee beans in this sort of spinning roaster, and they're just delicious. These are some of my favorite snacks, and I probably eat way too many. You buy them by the half kilo, 500 grams a pop. Really fantastic. So this is one of the other little markets that we cut through on our way to get to J, and there's this sort of klong over here, these little waterways that Bangkok is known for. Sort of separates two ends of the market. In this other half of the market, there's a few fabric shops, but this shop here I often buy my bandanas at. And a few months ago, maybe 6-7 months ago, Jib and I found this little passageway behind it that cuts us right through to another little side street. Now the nice thing about cutting through here is that you sort of avoid all the traffic at the end of this section of the market, but we also found a nice little coffee shop that I'm not the biggest fan of their coffee. In Thailand they love espresso. I'm not really an espresso guy. I don't like the most bitter of coffees, but they make an amazing salted plum soda, which if you've never tried is an incredibly refreshing drink. And you'll see we stop in here and we actually grab one of these drinks. They're so good. On a hot day like this, I mean, it's something about like that kind of saltiness, but a little bit of sweetness and the sort of fizziness from the soda really makes it a refreshing drink, really makes it nice and sort of energizes you up really quick. This is a crazy intersection, so I'm glad there was a cop here today. You can actually see Jib running because we've almost been hit a few times making this cross here. And actually the other side of this this market on the street, there's some really nice accessory and fabric shops that we'll probably check out in the future. And who doesn't love exposed electrical wires only a little bit above your head? And here's J Fabric, again, the best fabric shop in Bangkok by far. And showing up here, of course, Khun is there greeting us. He's one of the owners, and he is the guy who goes around the world picking out these fabrics. Now, this is their normal stock, but over here, this is what I came to see. This is what they just got in from Japan, fresh off the pallet. And, you know, it's nice to be like one of the first people to jump into this. They're still wrapped in the plastic, and you're sort of seeing things that people haven't really looked at yet. So many of these fabrics were amazing. I probably would have bought half of it if I could, but I just don't have that. I don't make those big of collections, but some of these patterns are just fantastic, and you know, being able to see it before anyone else. This one in particular I love. This is one of these really big patterns, very bold. I love this coloration, and it's on a natural instead of a white. Really nice. Of the stuff that they already had, I've seen this before, but I'll always go back through and take a look, especially any of these sort of circle patterns. This stuff has really fit well with the current collection, and whenever he gets this in, I always want to take a look and see what they have. I'm not really doing blacks, but any of these blues, and this one here, right here, this is my favorite of all time that they've had. Now, you can't come to J Fabric and not go up to the second floor. They've actually got a third floor above that he'll let me onto sometimes when they have new shipments in. But this second floor has a lot of interesting fabrics, not just color and pattern wise, but they have some weave fabrics that are super soft, almost like a knit. And Jib will actually make sort of work t-shirts out of these that she'll wear around. Now, that style isn't really for me, but usually when I'm up here, what I'm looking for is sort of basic patterns. They might have some check, some polka dot, something kind of sort of simple that I can use for a liner or I can use somewhere else. One of my favorite things by far, and this is some of the stuff I got. They're here, kind of Lung there is measuring it up, getting it ready to cut for me. And the service here is just unmatched. The service that you get at J Fabric, the selection of fabrics, everything about it is just first rate. I can't say enough good things about what they do here. And I love just watching my fabric get cut, packed up, the way they put it together there, and one of my favorite things, and you know you're gonna take this home and work on it. By the time we finished up, it was sort of late in the day. We didn't want to walk back to the MRT, so we decided to walk over the pier, which was really close, and just take one of the boats back up to Toksin Station where we could jump on. And this guy just has the best mustache in the public transportation game in Thailand, in my opinion. You know, end of the day, the sun's going down. It's just a really great experience to get out on the dock, jump on the boat, and head home. If you've never taken a water taxi in Bangkok, it's an unreal experience. They never really fully stop. You sort of get this rolling stop where everyone will get off and they're sort of moving back and forth, and then once everyone's off, it's just a free-for-all to get on. And once you're on, you just got to enjoy the ride home. Not much more to do. All right, what's going on, guys? So it's been a few days since I went to J Fabric, to China World to do the fabric shopping. A lot has been going on. I wanted to get this done the same day, but it just wasn't possible. But we did score some great fabrics, a lot of stuff that is going to go into being scarves and bag liners and things like that for the haberdashery. As you can see, maybe over here, I've got quite a few things that I've picked up previously. This is actually one of my favorite patterns. That's going to go into not just a scarf, but that's also going to be a bag. And I picked up some great stuff at J. This sunflower pattern, the samurai who smells the sunflowers, for those of you guys who know Samurai Champloo. This great Japanese pattern as well that I picked up. They always have the best Japanese fabrics. And when Khun calls me up and is like, hey, we've got this or we got that, he knows my style. He knows Jib's style as well. So if he calls Jib, he's like, hey, you know, we've got these Korean fabrics or these flower patterns from Japan. It's definitely something she's gonna like. And if he hits me up with a message on Facebook and he's like, hey Dana, I got some new geometrics or some new circular patterns from Japan, and they're blues, I got the indigos. He knows that's the stuff I'm gonna like. And if he tells me it's coming in and that I'm gonna like it, when you have that type of relationship, you just trust them. This is one of my favorite, actually, fabrics that they've ever had. And they've had this in a few different colors, and I've gotten it, and it's just always been a great item for us. It's always sold great. It's done well. A few other things over here that were sort of new that I'm sort of taking a risk on. This great sort of indigo dye blot pattern. Definitely something new for me, something new that I'm trying out, but it will go into this season's scarves, this next collection. These Japanese flower patterns as well, this blue with the purple flowers, and a few things that I picked up that I thought were just really interesting. Chinese dragon pattern with the blue, and I have someone in mind for that. That's something I'm going to send out as a gift to someone, kind of a long-term customer, someone who's been loyal. Geometric gray that I'm not sure about, and then this brown, which doesn't really fit the color pattern for this collection, but I'll give it a try. And then I also picked up at China World, I picked up that black and red paisley. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with yet, but I liked it. It looked fun. The fabric feels nice. I also got this white on black fabric paisley pattern. Interesting. And then this is something that J Fabric had on their clearance. This was like the last couple meters of this sort of Japanese wave red, white, blue pattern that I like. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to play with it. And then they also had this cat skull or skull fabric with some kind of cute patterns to it. I'm going to play with everything and see what I can do. I got a lot of work to do in the haberdashery, new collections coming out, new products, hopefully maybe even a trunk show, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But again, I love J Fabric, and when you have that type of relationship like we have with Khun, and they know what you like, and they're they're always looking for new things. And like Jay Suchdave said in his interview, and again, I'll link in the show notes if I haven't already, I'll link up above in the card. They're always out looking for new things. And the thing that's great about Khun is, he really understands the customers. So he has great relationships with a lot of customers who shop there a lot, and he's out looking for the things that they want, and he's sourcing that, and he's bringing it back. And because everything's so limited that he's traveling all over the world, finding great fabrics in Japan, Korea, he goes to the US. He's really been able to bring a lot of stuff that Thailand just doesn't have. You guys also saw when we were at China World, you came across a lot of interesting stuff. That's a lot of the lower end fabrics, sort of lower to mid-grade. You're not gonna find super high end at China World. I found some selvage denim there, but it was really not great quality selvage denim. I'll always go to my selvage denim people, the shops that I buy from. And I think in the future, we'll probably do one of the interesting trips to them, because it's really hard to find that shop, and it's interesting the way we sort of came about it and the relationship we have with them. And they have a lot of not just salvage denim, but they have some vintage stuff. They have some sort of mass production denim. Always great to try to vary your sources, especially when you do things in smaller collections. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna get to work on cutting this. I've got to cut some new patterns. I've got to actually cut some stuff out and start prepping it. You can see the actual sewing area behind me is still a mess. I got to reorganize a bunch of things and get to work. Have to get to work. Until next time, take action, make your ideas reality.